It's time to learn to be more forgiving of yourself, by Boopiejokes on AO3. Luz's home was empty. The wooden floors that were worn, but stepped on with caring and loved steps, were scraped completely bare. There was no table in the middle holding the weight of playing cards, drawings, and 3 very different but specific drinks. There were no wanted posters hung hazardously but proudly, no framed pictures she watched be put together, even if the culprit thought she was alone. And there especially was no feathered criminal or furry brother. Luz wanted to sink to her knees and slam her head into the darkened and empty floorboard. It wasn't fair. This house used to be full of life, literally, and now it dimmed, almost pitch black. No hoodie to greet her and smother her. She didn't fall to the floor, no matter how hard her knees wobbled as she shakily announced, "Welcome to the Owl House," with Ida's loud voice ringing the same words in her ear. The group of 6 had scattered off to Luz's instructions, searching any nook and cranny for supplies Ida had stored, just in case. Luz had never imagined this would have been the case. They had shoved a little pile in the center of the once living room of food, clothes, and bedding. Luz had mumbled something about Ida's room and left, making her bed in there instead of the bare floors. At least the Coven Scouts had left her nest alone. She didn't remember falling asleep. She didn't really remember much after coming back to the Boiling Isles, her mind so blurred and lost. She couldn't snap out of it until she had woken up, her head clogged and foggy, but nowhere close to falling back asleep. She also suddenly couldn't lay and stay in the room any longer. She quietly crept down the stairs, finding her friends and Mommy cluttered in the center of the room, blankets and pillows shared, even bodies used as pillows. She didn't hold back the small smile reaching just under her eyes. She was going to enter the kitchen before she took a double take and noticed a figure she should have seen in the mess on the floor. Dread dropped to her stomach, hot and nauseating. She moved away from the kitchen entryway and quickly went back upstairs. She checked every room, panic ashamedly rising higher and higher with every empty room. She just about barged into the last door until she stopped, realizing what room she was in front of. Her room. She swallowed and turned the knob slowly, her breath hitched. He was curled up in a corner, scarred palms digging into his eyes. His hair was disheveled, the hair Willow had cut months prior, and his knees were shaking. "Hunter?" she called softly, hoping so desperately she didn't startle him too much. He flinched, though calmed a little when he saw her discolored form in the doorframe. "Can I come in?" she asked. She watched Hunter swallow thickly and blink. "Well, you're already halfway there." Luz stood there, dumbfounded. She closed the door back behind her and joined him, keeping a slight distance. She really didn't want this to turn ugly. Nobody had said anything about the hour that turned this night into everyone's top least favorite times of their lives, especially not to Hunter. Luz had no idea what she was doing, but was absolutely not leaving Hunter alone. She took a talking breath in, but Hunter beat her to it. "Don't." Luz blinked. "Don't what?" "Don't say anything. Not about him, please." He looked so small and breakable. Luz was unable to breathe properly. "What are you doing in here?" she said, instead of pushing. Hunter looked at her, a little frightened. When he didn't answer, probably from fear of trained consequence, she gave him a tired yet patient smile. "This is my old room." "Oh, I'm sorry." She didn't like that he was talking to her like he probably talked to the Emperor. No, it's okay. "Have you been here all night?" Hunter gave a strained nod. I couldn't sleep either," Luz admitted while looking away. "You were." Luz locked eyes with him. "Huh?" "You were asleep. I saw you." Luz tipped her head to the side. "Were you looking for me?" Hunter froze and relaxed, his shoulders seemingly defeated over something in his head. "Yeah." "Well, I'm here now. Did you want to talk to me about—" "No." Hunter scrunched his shoulders to his ears, letting out a small dry sob. "No, I don't." "Hunter, what?" "I miss her." He tried to scream, but instead it came out as a whisper so soft yet furious and full of pain. Luz felt her broken heart crack a little more that night. She was stunned for a few seconds, but once she heard more of Hunter's choke sob, she she grazed his shoulder, afraid if she went too far, she'd scare him off. Instead, Hunter fell into her touch, his subconsciousness begging to be held. She let him tumble into her hold as he trembled, his head into her torso, wrapping his arms so desperately around her. "It's okay, you can cry," she said, though he was already streaming tears into her Ida's baggy shirt. "Why did he do it, Luz?" he whined, hiccups stealing his breath. I don't know," she whispered. She was useless to him. "Why did you do any of it?" "Oh, Hunter, I don't know. You didn't deserve it." Then he leaped out of her arms. She was almost dragged away with him from how fast and panicked he jumped. "How do you know?" Hunter spat, but Luz knew his anger wasn't coded in because of her. "He created me to be a monster. How did I not deserve any of it?" Luz was stunned. She couldn't answer, limbs and words frozen in her body. "Luz, please," he whimpered. "You're not a monster. Did you not see me? Did you not see the horns come out of my head or the scars covering every inch of my body? Hunter. And I killed her. Titan," he screeched, burying his face into his knees, his body rattling with anguish and grief and hatred. "No, Hunter, listen to me." Hunter peeked up a bit from his knees. "If you were in control, and if you could have stopped it seconds before it happened, would you have still let him do it?" Hunter looked bewildered. "Of course not." She smiled warmly for his benefit. "You're not a monster. He may have made you to destroy, but instead you got away the minute you found out you were doing so." Hunter stared before shaking his head and slamming it back between his knees. "You're right. I didn't stop it in time." Luz reached a hand out towards him. "Hunter." "I felt him. Luz, I felt him everywhere. I was in blackness. I couldn't see anything. Not anyone. I heard him. He was taunting me, telling me I brought you there. And then I felt my arm outreach and..." Hunter let out a pained cry. "I miss her. She isn't here, and I hate it. It hurts. And Luz, I want her here." I know," she said slowly. She slowly reaches out for him again, and he slowly melted into her arms again. Luz knew he was keeping this all in, knew he was going to ever since he woke up from death. He was dead. She started to cry herself, resting her chin on top of his head. "I know it hurts," she started, "and it will, and I don't know if I can lie to you and say it'll go away." Hunter hiccuped. "But it gets easier. This is just the start. This is grief, Hunter, and it's okay. If you need more nights like these, I will be there." He let out a shuddering breath, his chest deflating. "Okay," he whispered. They stayed like that for a while. Luz's clothes dried from Hunter's tears, his deep breaths slowing down to a point where his chest wasn't wobbling up and down, causing his entire frame to shake. "Hunter?" Luz approached softly after some time. He responded with a small hum. "Did you know he would go into the water?" He went stiff in her arms, but she didn't take back her question. I knew he would have gotten to it, or at least tried anything to, and I didn't really think anything would hold him back, so yes, I knew he would go into the water. I knew my life was over the moment I raised my arm with the blood in my fist." "Please," Luz choked, causing Hunter to sit up a little and stare up into her eyes with shrunken pupils. "Please don't sacrifice yourself, Hunter. Please." He blinked, then settled back into her arms. "You know I can't promise that." His face looked numb. "Would you promise it if you knew how much I looked up to you?" Now he fully sat up, but didn't scoot away completely from her space. "What?" She giggled, a wet and sad laugh bubbling out of her throat. "I already called you my family. I didn't just say that to mess with you, or something dumb you'd think I do." "But why? I don't understand." "Remember the night I met you, Letissa? The night I met Hunter?" "What?" Hunter repeated. I thought you hated me after that night. I thought you hated me regardless because I was part of the coven. I wanted to help you. That's all I ever wanted to do." "I don't understand," he mumbled in thought once more. Luz placed her hand back on his shoulder. He startled, his mind lost, but didn't pull away. He met her eyes. "Why do you care so much? I haven't done anything really in return." "Because I watched you die, Hunter." He didn't respond. You laid in my best friend's arms, completely defeated and unmoving. The dread I felt when Flapjack stumbled onto your chest, what would have happened if you woke up and saw she was gone, or if you knew it when you were dead. That's why I care so much, and that's why I need you to promise me you won't sacrifice yourself. She saw the tears swimming in the rims of his eyes. Luz, please, he whined. She slowly knocked foreheads with him. I can't lose you. Not again. Hunter's face scrunched up and more tears fell, yet he nodded. He squeezed his eyes shut and sniffed. She thought a little more before cutting off her swirling mind and whispered, I love you, hermano. Luz wasn't sure when Hunter sat there in disbelief at her words. Wasn't surprised when Hunter sat there in disbelief at her words. He sputtered and asked timidly, What was that last part? Brother. Oh. I love you too, Luz.